Hello guys, this is Jeff from the Art Panda. I'll show you how I painted this artwork today. Let's get started. These are my tools. I have these Daniel Smith paints or watercolor paints in tubes, and I put them in the palette that I showed earlier. Okay, so let me start with the base, or which is the first layer. I always try it on a piece of paper so I would know what would be the output, because sometimes when you use the paint or when you put some water on the paint, it's not always how you see it. So you have to make sure you have to try it first. So what I do here is I mix some browns, yellows, and reds. Okay, so now putting some blush, and gotta be patient. You have to wait for a few minutes to let it dry, and then put the darkest tone that you wanna put. Like if you want to define it, you have to start with the eyes, and then with the nose and size of the nose, and um, the lower part of the eyes, and then the chin, and those shadows. So we just have to wait for a few minutes to let it dry, and then you put another layer so you would see the darker tones. So here what I'm trying to do is like to make it appear like her face is dusty or a little dirty coming from the battle, because I would like her to look like she came from the ashes. So I'm putting some browns and putting some grays on the face. Okay, and then now you have to put the darker parts of the face. Now start with the nose, the chin, and some part of the ears that are really dark. And then now you can focus on the eyes. Some lashes using the detailer brush, and the eyebrows. Okay, so people may be asking like why is it like dark on some parts of the face, because I would really like it to be dark, or some kind of like dirty face. It's like she came from the ashes and now she's going back to make her revenge. So that's the story that I would like to show here. And I'm using the paints gray or gray to put some dark part on the face, and like to make it appear like it's ashes. And then always remember that you have to know your orientation, or where the light is showing, so you would know where the shadow is casting. Of course, where the light is coming from, the opposite part of it is where the shadow is showing. Now I started to paint the hair, so I use some yellows and grays as I mix it. You can always experiment like what you want to see on your artwork. You don't have to like exactly copy what's your reference photo. So sometimes you just have to, be creative enough and use your imagination. Like how would you want your painting to look like? So of course you just have to know where the darkest part, or um, the strands don't have to paint it all, like just put some emphasis on the area where you want to show dark part. Now I'm starting to paint the horse, so I start from top to bottom. So most of the time when I paint animals, I start from the ears going to the head and to the neck. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing the base for the horse, which is the brown, and towards the neck is like a lighter part, and some areas are darker. I just try to have fun and play around with my brushes here. So this is not really um, that serious painting, but I really wanted to enjoy this because it's been a while I have painted horses or um, bigger animals, so I really enjoyed this one. And I usually play with the browns, quinacridone gold, some grays, and sienna. Alright, so since the first layer is already dry, I'm now going to those areas that are really that are darker than the first layer. So I just try to look at my reference photo and see where the shadows or where the darker parts are, and then I go there as I go along with my layers and as I finish my artwork. And this brush that I'm using is Escoda, and what I like about it is you can the difference between the smaller brush and the bigger brush or the mop brush is the mop brush can actually hold more water or more paint, so you can you can paint longer, or you can have more paints in it instead of like you just using the smaller brush. And it's fun to use because it's like you're just playing because it's really soft. Now going to the eyes. The eyes is the darkest part of this artwork. So now going to the sides and some corners of um, horses, and that's it. Now going to the nose and the mouth. I'm using some grays and browns here, and like what I was like saying, you can play around with your colors and um try to paint it, or try to paint a piece of paper. Like you always have a scratch paper, so you would test it instead of you directly painting your artwork, because you might destroy, or you might um, not like the output. Now doing some finishing touches, like going to the eyes. Always remember that in any artwork or any painting that you have, it may be watercolor, um, colored pencil, or acrylic, or oil, the eyes always give life to your, to your painting. So try to make it appear like there's white part or the shiny part. So always leave it like that for watercolor, because you cannot once you paint it, you cannot erase it. So be careful and always keep in mind that you will not paint it. Alright, so I'm now putting some darker parts of the horse, and I'm about to finish this one. about to finish this artwork, and now I'm just doing some finishing touches to put some darker parts or some highlights on some smaller parts. I'm just making some finishing touches for the background. For this artwork, I actually started with the foreground, which are the subjects, the horse and the lady or the queen, and then next would be the background. So the moon glow, that's the one I showed, the moon glow paint from Daniel Smith and quinacridone gold. These two paints are my favorite when it comes to background because I always like the effect when I use them out together, especially when I do wet on wet technique. The wet on wet technique is painting a surface which is already wet, so it would give you a certain effect like a splash or this effect that I will show you. Alright, I hope you have learned something today, and feel free to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button and the notification bell. You have a nice day, guys. Bye!